Hey guys, Music Man here, back with another Identity 5 video, and this video is going to be my Spawnpoint guide for Red Church. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at all 7 spawn points from Red Church. So we got, we're going to start with spawn point 1, which is over in, oh wait a second, I should define my areas first, like I did last time. Okay, ew, I don't like that color, let's go this. Okay. Cool. So this area, this is either tombstone or graveyard. This area is going to be wedding. This gate, I call wedding gate, but a lot of people call it red carpet gate because there's that red carpet that goes down the middle. This is top broken. This is just kind of, I guess, in the middle between top and bottom broken. This is back broken or bottom broken. This is shack. That is a possible basement spawn. And I just call this general area right here back gate. And this is going to be church. Cool. So now we're going to take a look at spawn group 1, which is where you spawn back of tombstone. So one thing you'll notice about these spawns is these spawns are really close to each other, and the spawns and where you're going to want to go are pretty much the same. So depending on the cipher spawns, for I believe 5 out of the 7 spawns, I'm going to recommend going to backgate. And that's how I play out my rank matches. Backgate is relatively weaker than some of the other areas, so it's like decently strong, but this area is weak enough to the point where you can still have a chase. And with most of these spawns, if you end up coming across like the merc first or the forward first, there's usually another survivor really close by that you'll be able to go to. So for 1, I'm gonna say you're going to want to go here, or sometimes there's a cipher spawn that spawns right there. You can go right there. And then if this survivor doesn't spawn there, there's a good chance that one of these survivors will be transitioned into shack, which is a worthwhile chase as is. And yeah, I think that pretty much sums up spawn group 1. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could go wedding, but weddings... It makes it a lot easier to remember if 5 out of the 7 spawns you go to backgate. It just makes things really easy, and it also puts you in the vicinity of if like these 2 are both rescuers. Obviously, you got this window right here. You could easily go into church if that's a cipher spawn. Just going to backgate gives you a lot more options than if you were going to go to wedding, because that puts you across the whole map from these 2 survivors right there. Cool. So now let's take a look at spawn group 2, which is just outside towards like the front of tombstone. And once again, I'm going to recommend y'all go straight to backgate. There's a survivor right here, survivor right here. There's usually going to be a cipher spawn either there where I'm drawing or right there. And if that survivor isn't the one you're looking for, you can obviously go to shack or church, because the survivor is likely to go that way. Maybe not right away if they detect your fear radius, but if you're playing like a Bloody Queen or a Wu Chen, you won't necessarily have to deal with that. There's a good chance that survivor will transition to church, but there's a good chance that they'll be the other 2 survivors will either decode like middle right there or top broken. Okay, now let's move on to spawn group 3. Spawn group 3 is a little farther back, but you can see generally there's this survivor right here, which is likely to go to this survivor if that spawns, or right here. But you can sort of make your way back in there, see this survivor here, and if that's not a survivor you want, you go right back to shack. Now, when I first started playing this game, I'd go top broken, and I was actually rewatching the stream from the China tournament the other day, and there was a Dream Witch that actually decided to It was spawn group 3, I believe, and they decided to go all the way up to top broken. But the problem with top broken is that that's not an ideal target. Look how far away you are from all of the other survivors. They're literally on the other side of the map, so that's why I stopped going to top broken. Yeah, so now let's take a look at 4. See, this is really easy to remember. See, you got 2 survivors spawning towards back gate. This survivor is likely to go this way. There's a decent chance he might go to graveyard though, but this survivor is definitely going to go over here. I mean, it's also equally viable to go to top broken over here, but just for the sake of remembering the spawns quickly and efficiently, I would recommend going back gate, because if you get used enough chasing back gate, you get used to their kiting routes, and if you're used to their kiting routes, then that typically leads to a 45-second or less chase, depending on the hunter that you are using. Now we're going to go on to spawn group 5. And spawn group 5 is where things get a little different because you spawn wedding. Now, what I do when I spawn wedding is I'm actually going to go over towards back broken, because this survivor is likely to either go to this cipher. I think I spawned spawn group 5 yesterday, and there was actually a survivor that was heading towards that cipher there, so that leads to a really fast chase. It's likely this survivor is either going to go back broken or shack. And then if it really comes down to it, you are on the other side of the map for the other 2 survivors. But even if you go that way, then you're basically taking a risk. You got like a 50-50 shot of hitting whatever target you want if you go this route, because you go over this way and you're across the map from these 2 survivors. So you just got to pick your poison essentially. But I recommend going to back, because that's just a generally worse kiting area, because you go to these survivors, they're likely either to transition this one to church or this one to tombstone, and those are places that can lead to decent kites. Tombstone if your hunter is weak against tight kiting, and graveyard if your hunter is weak against transitional kiting. So now let's move on to spawn group 6, which is the top broken spawn. And this is probably my least favorite spawn of the map. So what I used to do with top broken is that I'd go over here to wedding, but I've been finding a lot of times this survivor will know that I'm coming, and they'll just transition to graveyard, or they'll hide, because they'll hide in an area and I just won't know where they're at. And if you can't find that survivor right there, you can see everybody else is a decent distance away. So what I actually have started doing is I come at through the side of church to wherever this survivor's at, is likely decoding here or right there. And if not, then you're able to make your way over to back broken to those 2 survivors there. But I recommend going for the one that's in church first, just because it's less likely they're going to transition away and rotate you. But yeah, that's spawn group 6, and now we'll move on to the final spawn group, which is inside church, spawn group 7. And just like the other 4 spawns where I recommended going this route, I once again recommend going towards back gate. If this survivor isn't the one you're looking for, what I'll do is I'll go right over to shack to wherever this survivor's at, which is either probably going to be shack cipher or back broken. And then the thing with spawn group 7 is that this is the spawn where the survivors are the most spread out, so in a sense this is also a relatively more survivor favored spawn point to have, although you still have those survivors that's spawning on back gate, which makes where you should go relatively easy. I would not recommend going to top broken here, even though top broken is the weakest spot in the map for survivors to kite. If this survivor isn't the one you're looking for, the other 3 survivors are distinctly on the other side of the map. Yeah, so those are the red church spawns. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please leave any comments or suggestions in the comment section below. You can also leave there some requests on what map you would like me to make a Spawnpoint guide on next. So I'll be looking out for that, and I'll see you next time.